Hello friends, I'm Sonali Shrivastava. Today again with one more informational video I'm here. In this video you will know about domain name and how it's work. As a beginner blogger, we all are very curious to know about what is domain name, how it's work, from where to purchase the domain name, who manages this domain name system, is it necessary to have a domain name? All these queries will be solved in this video. So stay tuned with me. So let's take the first portion, that is what is domain name. Domain name is basically the website name. Whatever name you give to your website, that is called as domain name. Domain name is that particular name which you give to your website and by which your reader associate with you. Before domain name there were IP address. I'm sure you must have heard the name of IP addresses. IP addresses is the internet protocol. It's not that today IP address doesn't exist. Today also there is IP addresses. IP address is a string of numbers. Each and every domain is attached to a particular IP address. But as this is a string of numbers, set of numbers, like become very difficult to remember these IP addresses as each and every website have certain different IP addresses. For example, if you want to visit 2-3 websites, so you have to remember all the different IP addresses. So it's become very troublesome to remember these IP addresses. So what's come in rescue comes the domain name. Each and every IP addresses is attached to a particular domain name. So it's become very easy for us and for our reader to recognize a particular website. The first we have taken what is domain name. Now the second portion is how domain name works. Simply when we as a user, when we type certain URL is that uniform resource locator. When we type the uniform resource locator, that is URL, in search of certain website, so what had happened? Internet transmit it to a DNS. DNS is a domain name system. So here DNS, what DNS is? DNS is a phone book of a registered domain name along with the IP addresses. It's have both, that is the IP addresses corresponding to the domain name. So DNS work starts from here and DNS searches out the website or the domain name which we have typed in a URL, and it starts searching and searching unless and until it found a particular domain name corresponding to an IP address, because these systems, these computer systems works on number, so they search on the IP addresses, and if they found it, then our web page will open accordingly. So in this way the DNS works. First we put input, then the DNS searches out the information about that particular URL which we want. If it's found in their server, then our web page will open accordingly. So this is the function of DNS. Now one more next question arises that what is URL? What is the difference between URL and the domain name? Simply as I said that domain name is your website name. But URL, what includes the URL? URL include first the protocol. Protocol is HTTP or HTTPS, that is the secured network. And second is to include the domain name. And third, the domain extension. Domain name is basically the SLD, that is the second level domain, and .com or the extension .in, .edu, .gov, that is the domain extension, that is the top level domain. So URL is the complete web address of our website. So what it includes? It includes protocol first, second it is include domain, and third is include the domain extension. So these three information combinedly make URL. So URL is a complete web address of our website. Next, as we have know that what is domain name, we already know that how it's work, how domain name system works. Now the question arises, what are the types of domain name? There are basically two types of domain name. First is the generic top level domain name, and second is the country code top level domain name. So what is generic top level domain name? Basically we as a blogger use generic top level domain name. These are like .com, .edu, .gov, .net, .info. These type of extension is called as generic top level domain extension. As for commercial purpose, we should use .com, as blogging in a future will give us monetization of our blog, so we should use .com. If your website is for educational purpose, so you should take .edu. If you are giving only for an informational purpose, so your website should include extension like .info. Similarly, if you're working for a government organization, your website should end with .gov. So these are the top level generic domain extension which we should take according to our business type or organization type. So the second come is the country code. That is the country code top level domain extension. So here what the name itself says that it includes the country code where that particular company is registered. For example, if it is .in, then India. If it is .us, that United States, .uk, then it is United Kingdom, .jp is for Japan. Similarly, for different countries, there is different country code. These country code are domain extensions. So, for example, you might have seen somewhere that it is written amazon.in. So .in is for India. So that means that particular website, that particular organization which is specifically dealing with a Indian user or an Indian organization. The next come is how to check the domain availability. There are various organizations which give you the free tool to check the domain availability, like Domain Checker, GoDaddy, Hostinger, Namecheap. You just go there and you type your domain name, whichever name you want to give to your website, and that will show you whether it is available or not and for which price you can take it. Let's see with one example. Let's see with the help of GoDaddy that whether the domain name which we want for our website is available or not. First in Google you type godaddy.com. This type of page will open. Here it is written find your perfect domain. For example, I want to start one of my food websites, so I write here foodie.com. Let me check whether foodie.com is available or not. It will give me a result that foodie.com is already taken. That means this domain name is not available. Again, a great alternative domain name is available, that is sugarplumfoodie.com. If I want, I can take this domain name for my website. Otherwise, I can go again and search for another domain name. Let me check again. Here, for example, if we want to write again some word like delightvegan.com. Let me check whether delightvegan.com is available or not. It is available. That your domain is available. Delightvegan.com is available for 1 year. I can take this for my website and name my website as delightvegan.com and start my fooding website. So in this way you can check the domain availability. Now as we know that how to check the domain availability, now the next question arises from where to purchase it. Who is responsible for this domain name system? There's one company who is responsible for this domain name system, that is ICANN. ICANN is the Internet Corporation for Assigned Name and Numbers, who is the registrar of this domain name. So what that ICANN do? ICANN monitor the domain name and they give authority to certain companies to deal on behalf of that, and that companies is known as registry, and from where we can easily purchase our domain name. These companies are GoDaddy, Hostinger, Namecheap, Domain.com and many other related companies. So from this we can purchase our domain name very easily. There is one recommendation which we as a beginner blogger should follow, that whenever we plan to start any website, there are two main requirements. First is the domain name and second is the web hosting. Domain name is your website address as we have already discussed it. And what is hosting? Hosting is a server where our website is hosted for worldwide viewers. So it is recommended that you should plan to take hosting first, because most of the hosting provider give domain name free for 1 year. So it's better to take hosting with domain name, as it will save your money. And the best web hosting providers are Bluehost, DreamHost, SiteGround, Hostinger, HostGator and many other related. So it is recommended to take hosting with give domain name free for 1 year. Now, as we know that what is domain name, how domain name works, from where we should purchase. So next comes the tip of choosing the domain name, how we should choose the domain name so that it attract most of the readers towards our website. First is your domain name should be short and unique. Second, your domain name should not include numbers or hyphen. You should not include any number or hyphen in your domain name. Third, your domain name should be easily understandable and should be easily spelled out. Fourth is that you should take the domain name which includes your keywords. For example, if your website is of fooding, you should write in your domain name somewhere food or salt or pepper or lemon. These type of words relate that your website is basically related to the food website. So it's better to have a keywords. And last, most important, that you should take the top level domain extension like .com, .net, as these are the most searched one, and your website will be easily connected with your reader. So these are the tips. I'm sure if you follow these tips, you will get a good amount of traffic for your website. Let's summarize what we have learned today in this video. First, we have learned domain name. Domain name is the website name. For example, in my case, my website URL is https://mazaro.com. Here Mazaro is my website name and .com is the website extension, domain extension. So we have learned about domain name. Next, what we have learned about domain name system, which is a phone book of registered domain name along with the IP address. Next, we have know about type of domain name. There are two type of domain name. First, generic domain name, and second is a country code domain name. As a blogger, we generally go with the generic domain name, that is .com. Next is that it is very beneficial if you take the hosting before and then take the domain name from that web hosting providers, as web hosting providers give free domain name for 1 year. So it's very beneficial for you are starting a new business, so you can do R&D and start your business accordingly. Hope you have a great insight from this video. Thanks for watching.